I really didn't have any formal training. To me, it was just a gift from God. That I sang. My sister, older sister, we all had, there was 11 of us. And my older sister, and we had a group, and we all sung. And so she, the one just really just taught us. And then the gospel music is just something that is just instilled in me. And I not only just sing gospel, but I sing contemporary, I sing praise songs as well. But the gospel music, coming from the black community, the gospel music, it's a music that is just down in the soul, the music that has kept me and helped me go through the struggles that I have come through, and especially through the 60s. You know, through a lot of the racial tensions and just a lot of the economical tensions and everything. And a lot of these here songs that you will hear, some of the background songs from the black gospel writers, were derived from adversities in their lives. And the words, it's not so much as the sound, but it's the words that you should listen to and what the writer is speaking to. And really the strength in having you to go on, you know. And you'll see as some of these songs on there, the titles mean something, and it's like speaking their life and what they're going through. And so, but gospel music, I love it, but I love all types of music. I love classical music, and I love some jazz, and you know, like I said, contemporary. So I love all music.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. My background in gospel music is a story of my life. I grew up in a home filled with gospel music. First of all, I come from a family, a large family of Pentecostal holiness. And so that's a traditional conservative arm of the Christian church. And I come from a denomination that was founded back in the 1915, 1916 era. And my grandmother was a musician. My father and several of his sisters were musicians. My father was, not only did he play in the band in school, the trumpet, but he was also a piano player. And then in the 60s, he began playing the organ, specifically the Hammond organ. My father in around 1972, 73, introduced the Hammond organ to our county in North Carolina, Hope County, North Carolina, near Fort Bragg, Fayetteville area. My mother and father were small group gospel singers. This is something Shirley doesn't know about my family background. So I can remember back in 1963 and 64, we lived, my father was a college student, just like you are, at North Carolina A&T State University. It was called North Carolina A&T College at the time. And we lived in the inner city of Greensboro, in the projects. They would call it the ghetto today. It wasn't called ghetto then. It was just the projects, federal government housing, low-income housing, because my father was a college student. And but we among all of the other families in our neighborhood, we always had a piano, because my dad played. So he was the musician for a small gospel group. So the group would always come to our apartment in the projects in order to rehearse. They were called the Gospel Tide. My mother was the lead singer. And I'm telling you, this is 1962, 1963. As far back as I can remember, people would come to our house each week for it wasn't a choir, but it was more like a 4 or 5 people, a quartet, a small gospel group. And the Gospel Tide were a traveling group. They would travel throughout the city of Greensboro, North Carolina, and even and surrounding areas. And I remember one time they even traveled up to Chicago to sing. They would sing with big name artists. My parents sang with the great James Cleveland. And you know if you knew that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they sang not along with him, but they were on the program with James Cleveland. And I think they even got me in on one of the church events when James Cleveland was there. Because I can't sing. But you know how parents think their little child can do anything? And I think they put me up there to sing. But anyway, so my roots in gospel music go all the way back to before I was born. So I was born into a musical family. So I had an ear. My brain was able to process whatever I heard musically. So whenever I would go to the university with my father for homecoming, and I'd hear the band play a song, I could come back home at age 5, get on the piano, and pick out the song with one finger. I could play the song. So I moved on from there. So from the time age 5, I say that at 5, one of my aunts from Connecticut taught me the basic triads and the basic chords for playing any gospel song. It's 3 basic chords. Once you learn those 3 basic chords, you can play virtually any gospel song that most traditional churches sing today, including many of the hymns. She taught me those basic chords, and from there on, I practiced on my own and played. Now, in school, I did take some lessons, formal lessons in voice. I was also in the band from the 6th grade up through my freshman year in college, but I was a percussionist, so I learned to sight read in terms of percussion music, but I could also sight read in terms of vocal music. It was not until I entered graduate school, and I was about my 3rd year in graduate school, working on my PhD at Southern Illinois University at Carbondale. I looked in the paper, and I saw this gentleman that had a master's degree from Juilliard. Y'all ever heard of Juilliard? Is this a music class? and he had a master's degree from Juilliard, and I said, this guy got a master's degree from Juilliard, then obviously he may be able to teach me something. And so I sought him out, went to his house, and he had a small, like a 2-bedroom house, but he had a grand piano that was as long as, it was this long, from that door all the way to here. So it was from his kitchen to his living room. And I said, man, I want you to teach me how to read music. He said, I sure will. So I went to him, he began to teach me how to, and within the first 2 weeks, I finished the 1st grade book. Y'all know what I'm talking about, the 1st grade music book? I finished that in like 1 week or 2 weeks, I finished that book. I was in the 2nd grade book. Then by the 2nd or 3rd week, I was playing hymns out of the hymn. By the 3rd week, I was able to read hymns out of the hymn book and play them. The only problem with that, and then by my 4th or 5th week, he had Pederesky in front of me. Y'all ever heard of Pederesky?
Yeah.
Okay, so he put some Pederesky, because I told him, I said, I want to learn how to play this song. He said, okay, here it is right here. So I started learning how to play that. The only problem was, though, whenever he would hear something the first time, my brain remembers it, and then I'd forget the music and I'd play it by ear. So I haven't played a note from reading anything until I didn't play anything from that time, about 83 to about 96, 95 or 96. Then I took a class here in the UT building with Dr. Cook before he retired, and stayed in that class for about half of the semester. But then, so since about 96 or so, I haven't played any notes. So everything that I do now is by ear, meaning I process what I hear, I interpret what I hear, and I transfer what I interpret onto the keyboard. I can play anything with keys. Piano, synthesizers, Hammond organs. In fact, I have an international Hammond organ business. You can look me up on YouTube, Dr. Arthur D Kemp, and you will be able to see me playing on YouTube. All right, let's do some music. You all ready to hear something? Yeah. Y'all ready? Yeah. Okay. The way we Shirley and I put this together is we wanted to try to do a kind of a progression of gospel music. Starting or beginning with the individual that many of us consider as a progenitor, originator of black gospel music, Thomas Dorsey. Thomas Dorsey. And he is a writer of a multitude of hymns that we find today. Man, that's a $600 camera. You better pick that up. The multitude of hymns that you let somebody else take some. Y'all take some pictures. Yeah, Pat. There you go. Take some pictures. While I'm up here talking. A multitude of hymns that Thomas Dorsey has written, but we're going to do for you a portion of his most famous hymn, Precious Lord. An individual who I mentioned in my introduction, a multiple Grammy Award winner who set the stage for the transition of traditional gospel music to move it into with a more contemporary sound, while holding on and maintaining, sustaining that traditional gospel flair. And so this next artist whose music we're going to do, his name is the Reverend James Cleveland, one of the most famous black gospel artists of all time. Reverend James Cleveland, and we're going to do Lord, Help Me to Hold Out.
You know, when I sing this here, and the times when I'm going, how many of you, even as young as you are, have gotten to the place to where you feel like you're at the end of your rope? Even through school, as young as you are, as you're going through, but that song, and when I feel like I get to that place, I ask the Lord to help me to hold out. Help me to hold out to that hope, because my hope is in Him. And that I can make it another day. You know, and when things gets dark and you can't find your way, and it just seemed like a gleam of light just show up. And He knows, whether it be a friend, no matter what you're going through, they come and they give you that little beacon of light that you feel like, I can go on another day. I can go on another day.
Thank you, Shirley. This next artist was a protege of the Reverend James Cleveland. He studied James Cleveland's work, as so many of us have over the years, and he talks about, and he just recently passed away, and he talks, and you can find this on YouTube, where he talks about going to a party and seeing other gospel artists around at this barbecue, and praying that God would give him the gift of music and the ability to play. Now, this man was gifted with the ability to sing, but he wanted to also to be able to play the piano and to be able to write music. And he was given this inspiration, this supernatural gift, to be able to sit down on a piano without having studied formally, like you guys are doing, studied formally music, and begin to compose right from his spirit, right from his heart, and to hear things, and to see images, and to begin to write them down on paper. And he became one of the most prolific gospel artists and gospel composers of all times. And he continued to accelerate the movement from traditional gospel music sound into the contemporary gospel sound. The individual is by the name of Andre Crouch. The song that we'll be doing to represent him is one of his most famous compositions, Take Me Back. another contemporary of Andre Crouch, and Andre Crouch lived in the Oakland, California, San Francisco, Oakland, California, what they call, the Bay Area. And he had a twin sister, and they often would perform together, Sandra Crouch. But there was another family that also lived in Oakland that had their own unique flavor, their own unique sound of gospel music, and they were also instrumental in the ushering in and the transformation of gospel music and the gospel music sound into what we know today as contemporary gospel music. And this family was known as the Hawkins family. In fact, in order for choirs all over America to become adjusted to the new style of gospel music, they developed and created a music and art seminar, which they held on an annual basis. It was a period of time that they would host these annual music and art seminars, and they would record them. And of course, you could buy the albums, and I would listen to them as a young musician, as a young man in my 20s, and I would learn how to play every song on those albums. So we're going to do the most popular, the most famous song written by Edwin Hawkins. And everybody's going to know this one. See, in fact, let me tell you this. Remember, I told you that I didn't know how to read music, right? I didn't know how to read music. But when this song came out, I was in the 7th grade. And so that was like 1972, around 1972, 71, 72. And I listened to this song for hours and hours until I could play the song just like the record. So I went to school, and in choir rehearsal, I couldn't play all of the other stuff, the green leaves and all the other stuff that girls was playing at the music teacher. I couldn't play all that stuff. But we began to sing this song, "Oh Happy Day." And after music class was over, it wasn't music, it was actually choir. We were the 7th and 8th grade choir in junior high school. And after choir practice was over, I walked up to the piano. I said, "Let me see how I sound." That's what I said to my friend. They were in there. I said, "Let me see how I sound when I play this song." Because I heard how the girl that read the music, I heard how she sounded. I'm like, that song, she missed some parts on that, because I know how that song goes. And I sat down there, and I played that song, and you know what she said, "Listen to that bass." See, y'all listen to this bass. She said, "Listen to that bass." And I played that song, and the teacher, she came to me, she said, "Arthur," she said, "you can play that song in the concert, and any other song we sing that you want to play, just tell me." So the night of the concert, that's when my parents actually knew or found out or discovered that I was capable of playing publicly. Before then, I was the church drummer. From the time that I was 6 years old to the time I was 12, I played the drum. Remember, I went to a Pentecostal holiness church. My daddy was the musician, so I backed him up on the drums. But that particular night of the concert, for the grand finale, we did this song. And of course, the standing ovation that was probably given to all of us at the end of the concert, I thought it was for me. Here we go. It's called, what? "Oh Happy Day." contemporary choir era into the late 70s and the early 80s. And there was a young man who among several others, but this young man was from New York City, Brooklyn area, and he has written many songs, and some of them you would even know. But one of the more popular songs that he produced or that he recorded, because there are a lot of other artists that write songs that he actually records on his album, but one of the ones that I really love, and I love to play this song, was a song that he recorded entitled Calling My Name. Calling My Name. And he introduced this young lady by the name of Timothy Figueroa. So what I'm going to do, this particular song, Shirley's going to take a break here, and I'm going to do this as a piano solo. It's been quite a while since I've done this song. You know how some songs are more complex than others, complex structure to play. Well, this particular song, you will hear a mixture of not only traditional gospel, but contemporary gospel, but you will also hear classical. You will hear actually some classical piano playing in this song. So check this song out. Hezekiah Walker, Calling My Name. Another gospel artist that throughout the 80s, and I would say that this man was one that was at the top of the gospel music charts week after week after week. And he had a very traditional gospel flavor. And you'll be able to hear it in this song. Even though he did some contemporary, and he had a lot of young musicians that could play contemporary sound, but his flavor is very traditional. And he is out of Charlotte, North Carolina, my home area. I'm from North Carolina, as I said, near Fort Bragg, Fayetteville, Rayford, North Carolina is my hometown. So about 110 miles north of where I grew up. This man, took the music world by storm throughout the 90s. And he is still relevant today. His name is Minister John P Kee. And the song that we're going to do to represent his work is titled, Jesus is Real.
Yeah, I am.
All right.
Amen.
Another young man that really, he was closer to the age of Hezekiah Walker, and he really ushered in what I would say the age of contemporary gospel music. And this man, some of you may have heard of him because he had more of the hip hop flavor. And his name is Kirk Franklin. Anybody heard of Kirk Franklin? You've heard of Kirk Franklin? So we're going to do the song that made Kirk Franklin famous. So we're not going to do the hip hop version of it, but we're going to do the song that he came out with that made him, gave him the worldwide name exposure. And the name of that song is, Shirley?
Someone asked a question.
Why we sing? Your paper said why we sing.
Why we sing.
It said why we sing, but that's the name is why we sing. So you put a G on the end. my typist put why we sing, and I don't know what she was thinking at the time, but it's why we sing. I don't know why y'all sing. I guess you say because we college students.
Someone asked the question, why do we sing when we lift our hands to Jesus? What do we really mean? Someone may be wondering why we sing our song. At times we may be crying and nothing's even wrong.
Take your time, Shirley.
I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. As eyes is on the sparrow, that's the reason why I sing. Glory, hallelujah, the reason why I sing. Glory, hallelujah, you're the reason why I sing. Someone asked the question, why do we sing when we lift our hands to Jesus? What do we really mean? And someone may be wondering why we sing our song. At times we may be crying and nothing's even wrong. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. His eyes is on the sparrow. That's the reason why I sing. Glory, hallelujah. You're the reason why I sing. Glory, hallelujah. You're the reason why I sing. Glory, glory, hallelujah. The reason why I sing. Glory, hallelujah. The reason why I sing. You're the reason why I sing. You're the reason why I sing. One more time. You're the reason why I
All righty. Thank you so much. This we're we're right at the end. We're right at the end. How much time we got? 5 minutes?
No, like 1 or 2 minutes.
We got like 1 or 2 minutes? Well, why don't we end with I'll do a minute of total praise for you by Richard Smallwood. Okay, I just do that and then we'll end with William McDowell and Charles Jenkins.